our guest of honor. Before you, as it's been said, is Teacher Service Commission Choir. We have our theme song, and we are saying, Jameni ulimwenguni bila mwalimu, sisi wote tungelisoma wapi? Twajiuliza hilo swali. Sisi sote bila mwalimu tungelisoma wapi? Wimbo wetu unadhihirisha umuhimu wa mwalimu. Karibuni.
Bila mwalimu ningesoma wapi? Duniani mwalimu ni nguzo anayetegemewa kwa maendeleo kweli. Duniani mwalimu ni nguzo anayetegemewa kwa maendeleo. Maarifa tunayoyapata ishara tosha mwalimu kioo cha jamii. Ishara tosha mwalimu kioo cha jamii. Mwalimu anaangaza, mwalimu kielelezo, mwalimu ni kiongozi. Elimu bora yategemea mwalimu bora, elimu bora yategemea mwalimu bora. Mwalimu bora ndiye suluhu na changamoto wanazopata. Mwalimu bora yategemea mwalimu bora. Tupate walimu kwa siku ya kuendeleza. Mwalimu bora yategemea mwalimu bora. Wazazi wapate teknolojia mpya. Mwalimu bora yategemea mwalimu bora. Rwanda
Well, for now, like we were saying, this is the first Teachers Conference for 2019, and briefly we want to speak to the CEO, the Teachers Service Commission, Dr. Nancy Macharia, to briefly tell us what this conference is all about and probably share with us the details that will be coming out or expected by the end of this conference tomorrow. Madam CEO, please, maybe if I can begin to ask you, what is the intention of this conference for this year?
The biggest intention is to hear the teachers' voices. For so long, I think teachers have just been saying they are told what to do. It's their time now, since 1967, this being the first conference ever, to hear the teachers' voice. And so we have told teachers to come and tell us what they would wish the world to know about them, and especially in Kenya. And then obviously we have very many stakeholders, and we have invited them to bring in their experience and expertise, and through papers come and tell us what they think about the teaching service and the Teacher Service Commission. It's good that we are also apprised from time to time so that we know how we get on. And of course there is the other issue about quality education, and quality assurance, and the policies that we have come up with, and what is expected going forward and into the future. And we need some of the things that we do in the TSC to be known by the world, and so that as we talk, then the world or Kenyans and the public understand us.
Wow, undoubtedly this year we have seen the Teacher Service Commission, and in particularly in regards to teachers, you have made big steps from the training of teachers, from the issues of curriculum development. We have seen some of the teachers from commission being awarded the best globally. That is a step that probably it's an interesting part when it comes to your commission.
Yes, it's very interesting, and we are very excited. I am saying since we started with the baby steps in 1967, the Commission has come a long, long way. And obviously when our teachers are recognized worldwide, when we ourselves are recognizing teachers in Kenya internally, when we are making all the strides of training teachers for the new CBC, when we are promoting teachers, when we have a new CBA, we have a lot to say and to celebrate. And so as we also do all the other things in this conference, this is our time to celebrate the great strides and the teacher in Kenya.
Well, thank you, Madam CEO. Okay, that's just part of what we are expecting to hear from the conference that is beginning today. And like you were saying, it is proceeding to tomorrow. Of course, the Teacher Service Commission will be interacting with teachers and sharing their experiences. There are new things coming. It is a commission that has indeed grown for some time. Let's go in. As we continue to get the coverage, for sure we will be able to get the details and get to learn more what comes at the end of this conference.
Asante sana. Kabla hawajaondoka, wasiondoke Teacher Service Commission Choir, kwa sababu CEO is holding a brief interview 2 minutes with the media. Nimeulizwa kwamba waimbo wimbo mwingine mmoja tu atakapoingia tutaenda. Amekuja. Asante sana. Kwa hivyo ataimbeni wimbo huo mmoja. Imba wimbo huo mmoja. Kwa sababu mlikuwa mmejiandaa ule wimbo ambao unamuamsha yule rafiki yangu kule nyuma. Yule ambaye unamuamsha yule rafiki yangu pale nyuma. Ameniambia nikikosa kuucheza itakuwa ni balaa. Nimemwambia tutaucheza. Na wimbo huo utakapokuwa ukicheza, tafadhali na wewe pia msaidie yule rafiki yangu asijihisi yuko pweke. Asante. Haya, piga makofi. Imba nao. Unaweza kusimama na kuwajoin, tunaimba wimbo wa kushangilia Kenya. Simama na kuwajoin hawa, tunaimba wimbo tuishangilie jamhuri yetu ya Kenya. Tunashangilia Kenya.
Kenya makao yetu ni nchi ya usalama, kamwe hatutaiacha.
Wale marafiki zangu wanaopiga ile nduru, ile kigaragara, ile nduru ile.
Kamwe Kenya hatutaiacha. Daima anayependa Kenya ni yule mwenye kutenda haki kwa watu wote. Daima mwenye kutenda.
Kama huwezi kucheza una shida.
Na ukipenda Kenya ujitengane na mambo
sawa
yenye kuvunja amani. Hatutaki matata Kenya. Hatutaki matata Kenya. Wenzangu Kenya kipenzi chetu.
Cheza 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 cheza.
Hatutaiacha milele wenzangu. Kenya kipenzi chetu. Hatutaiacha milele. Kenya kipenzi chetu, nchi yenye upendo. Hatutaacha Kenya daima na milele.
Nilikwambia ukikosa kongamano hili umekosa mengi.
Na tumeapa sote wananchi wa Kenya kutumikia Kenya daima na milele. Kenya, Kenya kipenzi chetu, kweli hatutaiacha milele. Wenzangu, kweli hatutaiacha milele. Kenya ni mama yetu, tena ni baba yetu. Hatutaacha Kenya daima na milele. Kenya kipenzi chetu, kweli hatutaiacha milele.
Wanapoondoka na huo wimbo, wanapoondoka na huo wimbo tunasema asante. Wanapoondoka na huo wimbo tunasema asante. Wanapoondoka tunasema asante. Wanapoondoka tunasema asante sana Teacher Service Commission Choir. Wanapomaliza tunasema asante sana. Asante sana Teacher Service Commission. Tunamaliza. I'm telling you, just greet your neighbor, mwambie this place is fantastic. Mpigie, msalimie, mwambie this place is fantastic. This resource is of quality. Asante sana. Teachers are indeed a resource, a big resource. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't believe that, I want to invite Mohamed Bambanya. Mohamed Bambanya ni mwalimu mkuu wa shule ya msingi ya Mreroni, jimbo la Mombasa. Anakuja na shairi ambalo ataliimba. Mwalimu ni chombo muhimu. Tumkaribisheni mwalimu Mohamed Bambanya. Hakuji kubambanya, walimu huwa hawabambanyi. Haji kubambanya huyu. Jina lake ni Mohamed Bambanya, shule ya msingi ya Mreroni, jimbo la Mombasa. Nasikia watu wa pwani wanasema conference tunayo hatuna. Tunayo hatuna. Mohamed Bambanya.
Shukran. Mgeni wetu mheshimiwa, itifaki zote zikizingatiwa. Jina langu naitwa Mohamed Saidi Bambanya. Mimi ni mwalimu kutoka jimbo la Mombasa. Niko na shairi, nimelipatia kichwa chombo muhimu. Ni shairi kumsifu mwalimu kwa kazi anazozifanya kila uchao. Shairi lenyewe nitalimba. Kabla sijaliimba nasema kwamba uhondo wataka matendo, hasa matendo ula uvundo. Ukiona neno, usiposema neno, upatikane na neno. Utamu wa njugu daima damu kula moja moja. Hauna utamu wa uji, tingisha lile bakuli.
Najua nyinyi hamjui, mnasema tu ndio. Amewachanganya hapo.
Nami kwa kudura zake Mwenyezi Mungu shairi nitalingani. Bambanya nimetokeza, Bambanya leo nanena. Mwalimu chombo muhimu, kazi zako twazienzi. Mwalimu chombo muhimu, hakika sisi twasema. Kazi zako twazienzi daima tena dawamu. Ni nani kama mwalimu mwenye heshima za dhati? Utamaliza waganga, mwalimu utamweza. Salamu ninazitoa ndugu zangu, sikizeni. Machache nataka nena leo, mimi ninanena. Kongamano tumefika, twamsifuye mwalimu. Mwalimu chombo muhimu, mtunze utaendea. Kazi zako twazienzi, kweli wewe umzuri. Wawalea waziwazi wanafunzi darasani. Malengo bora wawapa kila uchao jamani. Mwalimu chombo muhimu, mtunze tafaidika. Mwenye malezi ya mama ni nani kama mwalimu? Mwalimu ndiye nahodha ongoza baharini. Awalea waziwazi wanafunzi darasani. Mwalimu chombo muhimu, mtunze tafaidika. Sifa zako ni bayana, nineni aso kujua. Maadili yako shwari, mwalimu anatutamba. Si usiku si mchana, kazi zake azichapa. La azizi mwalimu, kweli sisi twaheshima. Tuache kumdunisha, ni kioo cha jamii. Mwalimu ni kama mche, mtunze utakufai. Mwalimu ana maono tena mazuri. Mwalimu zidi kutamba, nasi tuko nyuma yako. CBC iko ndani, kweli mwalimu kasema. Sisi sote twaikuza bila hati kukejeli. Mwalimu na hepa eko, mwalimu wetu hongera. CBC tuko ndani, mwalimu naye atamba. Mwalimu kweli atamba, mfano pita tabichi. Ni nani aso mjua, mwalimu kweli kasema. Mazuri yote kalea, mwalimu twakuheshimu. Utamaliza waganga, mwalimu utamuweza. Mwalimu wetu hongera, yatosha nilionena. Tumuheshimu mwalimu sote, hakika nanena. Kazi zako maridhawa, ni nani aso kujua. Ya Allahul Azizi, sote twakupa kongole. Asantum.
Niliwaambia muongezeni makofi. Huyo alikuwa ni Mohamed Bambanya kutoka shule ya msingi ya Mleroni, jimbo la Mombasa. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to also invite another poet. This man that I've been inviting is a national adjudicator of elocution at the Kenya Music Festival. He is also a national committee panel member wa Kenya Music and Cultural Festival, performing arts level, secondary level. Huyu naye anaitwa Calvin Adwar. Calvin Adwar is coming to perform a poem. The title is The Superior Teacher. Let's put our hands together and welcome Calvin Adwar, The Superior Teacher.
Ladies and gentlemen, like the baby discovers the circle, the bonding, the love, the trust, so the learner discovers the doing, the speaking, the thinking. Behind this child, will you be the superior teacher? Have you seen the 21st century child? Glowing, radiant, and jolly in learning? Creative, imaginative, inquisitive? Oh, have you seen the self-driven child? Behind this child, are you the superior teacher? Are you the curious child? Are you the child curious and observant, making cheese and ghee and butter and yogurt? Are you the creator of that online shop? Behind the odds, inspiring your peers? Behind this child, I see the superior teacher. Are you the teacher superior to the norm? Artistic, dynamic, wholesome, advancing responses? Are you the coach and mentor of learning? I trust your spirit and passion behind this child. Behind this child, ladies and gentlemen, whom do I see? I see the superior teacher. Welcome.
Let's appreciate Calvin Adwar. Behind this child, we have a superior teacher. Ladies and gentlemen, bringing us to the end of that session of entertainment, allow me to welcome Bombers of Kenya, who will come and perform for just about 4 minutes. Bombers of Kenya. Let's appreciate Bombers of Kenya coming onto the stage. Wananiambia dansi zao wakati mwingine huwa zina fujo fujo. Watapita hapa mbele, huku nyuma. Hawa Bombers. Nimewatahadharisha, hii ni conference, wasianze kurukaruka hapa. Wapigeni makofi Bombers of Kenya wanapojiandaa. appreciate Bombers of Kenya for that wonderful performance. Tutakapokuwa na muda tutawaalika tena kuja kututumbuiza. Thank you very much. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, at this juncture to invite Mr. Humphrey Mokaya, who is the Director, Kenya School of Government, on behalf of the DG to officially welcome us to this institution. Shall we appreciate Mr. Humphrey Mokaya?
Thank you very much, Mr. MC. The Chief Administrative Secretary, Ministry of Education, Professor Coletta Suda, the Chairperson, TSC, Dr. Lydia Nzomo, Commissioners of the TSC present, TSC staff, distinguished teachers of this great country, senior government officials, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Director General, Professor Ludeki Chweya, let me take this opportunity to welcome you most warmly to the school. It is a great honor for the school to host the first ever Teachers Conference, and we indeed are very, very delighted. We note that this is very aptly themed, the teacher as a resource, indeed a resource in national development from the formative stages of a child into adulthood. Congratulations. We hope that this will be an annual event and wish you a resourceful and enriching 2 days here at the school. Karibu sana and have a blessed day.
Thank you very much, Daktari Humphrey Mokaya. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome Mr. Ibrahim Mumin, who is the Director, Administrative Services, Teacher Service Commission, to do the welcome remarks. Shall we welcome Mr. Ibrahim Mumin?
Thank you, Bwana MC. Our chief guest, Professor Coletta, TSC Chairperson, Dr. Lydia Nzomo, Chairpersons and CEO of Constitutional Commissions and TSC Commissioners, other Principal Secretaries who are around, members of the Council of Governors, TSC and Ministry of Education officials, representatives of our development partners and sponsors, Faculty of Education lecturers from various universities, representatives of teachers, employers and education commissions, representatives of teachers unions and heads associations, representatives of religious organizations and civil society groups, conference keynote speakers, discussants, moderators, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to this first ever Teachers Conference. Thank you for honoring our invitation by attending. For our guests who have traveled from outside Kenya, feel welcome. I hope you have had time to rest. I am sure you have all realized by now how Kenyans are warm-hearted and welcoming. Karibuni Kenya, welcome to Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, we are gathered here today as stakeholders in education and teaching fraternity so that we can share teaching experiences, learn from our successes, and propose measures for addressing identified teaching challenges. During this conference, participants will be expected to identify and harness existing opportunities that will improve the teaching service and learning outcomes. As such, TSC is enthusiastic about professional collaboration with educators and teacher management agencies in Africa and the rest of the world. When we cooperate with our stakeholders, we stand to learn and adopt the best practices that can improve the quality of teaching and learning. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2 days conference will have addresses from keynote speakers from different parts of Africa and from our great scholars in our institutions, that's the universities. There will also be discussions of the sub-themes and presentation of papers, all touching on topical areas of the conference. This is so because the Commission prides itself in the work that these teachers do and would therefore like their successes shared for the mutual benefit of the teaching fraternity. It is my sincere hope that we shall all learn about the latest successes and innovations in teaching and education management from our engagement today and tomorrow. Dear participants, the Commission therefore looks forward to interactive sessions in the 2 days program aimed at bringing forth recommendations and measures that will address the challenges faced by the teacher of the 21st century for improved teaching and educational outcomes in line with the Commission's vision of professionalizing the teaching service for quality education and development. My dear esteemed delegates, once again, may I welcome each one of you to the conference and wish every delegate fruitful participation. With these few remarks, I wish all participants well as they go through the rest of the conference and during their stay in the country. Once again, welcome. Karibuni. It is now my duty and privilege to welcome the TSC Chief Executive and Secretary, Dr. Nancy Macharia, to set the pace for this conference with her keynote presentation on trends and emerging issues in teacher management. Dr. Nancy Macharia, please.
Our chief guest, Professor Suda, who is our Chief Administrative Secretary, the TSC Chairperson, Dr. Lydia Nzomo, Chairpersons and Chief Executive Officers of Constitutional Commissions and Independent Offices, TSC Commissioners, AFTRA Executive Director, Dr. Steve, who has come all the way from Nigeria, Professor Mugenda, TSC Administry of Education officers, our Director General in the Ministry of Education, our development partners and sponsors, teachers, representatives of teachers' unions and associations present, Kesha and Kepsha, who are our head teachers and principals associations, representatives of religious organizations, members of the civil society, conference keynote speakers, discussants and moderators, especially those who have come from outside the country, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning. Yeah, it's a great day today. It is the Teacher's Day. We want to hear the teacher's voice. But before I give a background, the background information on the setup of this conference, let me from the onset thank our sponsors, all our sponsors, and especially the World Bank, Kepsha, Kesha, Kupet, Semester, Mwalimu Sako, who have done wonders for us, sponsored our teachers, especially the teachers who are coming to give some papers here. We are very grateful today for making this happen for us. So mine is a short background because my chairperson will come and set the pace for the whole of this week. And mine is just to give a brief on the quality and the importance of teachers. And as I have said from the onset, today we're not talking much. Today we want to hear the voice of the teacher. But let me start once again by joining my colleague, Mr. Mumin, in welcoming you to this first Teachers Conference. And thank you for making time for the precious opportunity to share ideas and experiences on one of the most valuable person in the country, and that is the teacher. Although the Teachers Conference is an idea which should have come several years earlier, I am nevertheless happy that it has finally been realized. Remember, it has always been said that no education system in the world will surpass the quality of its teachers. It is also gratifying to note that there has been a lot of enthusiasm from the time we called for papers from teachers, researchers, academics, and other stakeholders in the teacher management and the education sector in general. In spite of the short notice, many educators, including teachers, academicians, and researchers, showed a lot of interest. It is for this reason that I believe that our first Teachers Conference will provide us with opportunities to learn from our teachers, researchers, and academicians. Remember, TSC has always talked about teacher management. I think it is time we are given feedback on our performance and on the teachers that we manage. And also, let us hear from the teachers themselves what they think about teaching and about us. It is also an opportune time to explore new trends, emerging knowledge, and challenges in teacher management. In spite, I think I'm getting, I don't know who should be running this for me. So please forgive me for that. Oh, he's moving on. Okay. I think it is mixed up. It is mixed up. This is a scan. So I think now we are there. Our engagement in the next 2 days will be carried out within the framework of the theme, the teacher as a resource, quality and utilization. And the sub-themes of the conference are: 1, teacher training and development in the 21st century, principles and practices of effective teaching and learning, and quality assurance for effective teaching and learning in the 21st century. From these many practical implementable ideas which will be generated on how to optimally engage the country's teacher resource for quality teaching and improved learning outcomes. The Commission is open to ideas, proposals, recommendations, and will endeavor to put to practice what can work towards better pedagogical strategies in our institutions of learning. In the scope, my presentation will provide a panoramic view of the policy framework in the practice of teacher management in Kenya, contextualize the theme of this conference, that is the teacher as a resource, quality and utilization, explore the pre-independence perspective on the teacher as a resource, demonstrate that besides terms and conditions of service, the establishment of the Teacher Service Commission was intended to address issues of teacher utilization and quality teaching, and examine the perspective of some of the various education commissions, committees, working papers, working parties, and task forces on the teacher as a resource. This perspective will provide the context through which to interrogate the current practice in teacher management. So let me talk about very briefly about teacher as a resource and the early perspectives that have got us to where we are. The focus on the teacher as a national resource can be traced to pre-independence Kenya, when African leaders started putting pressure on the colonial government to recognize the important role of African teachers in the education of Kenyan children. Some of the most memorable efforts were in the Colonial Legislative Council, which I'm told is called LEGICO, by retired President Daniel Arap Moi, whose teaching career started in the 1940s. In 1957, he addressed the LEGICO as follows: government should not overlook the matter of teachers. I know this year, which was 1957, some 50 teachers joined the railway staff in Kampala. Many of the potential teachers have left the service simply because government is not taking a keen interest in them. By getting the best teachers, we get the best type of education. That was in 1957. After independence, the push to establish a single employer for teachers was informed by the need not only to improve terms and conditions of service for African teachers, but also provide quality education. While contributing to the Teacher Service Commission Bill in December 1966, the then Bureti Member of Parliament, Alexander Arabi, linked good working conditions to quality teaching. And he said, this country has been suffering a lot in the loss for teachers. We have had a good number of teachers who have run away from the profession and joined private firms. Teachers make a lot of investment, even though the government does not earn any revenue from the teaching profession. The then leader, again, of opposition, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, argued that it was necessary to improve terms of service for teachers in order that they may prepare the children for later life. It is against this backdrop that the Teacher Service Commission Bill was passed in December 1966 and enacted as an Act of Parliament to become operational from 1st July 1967 as the Teacher Service Commission Act. The first engagement for the newly established commission was putting all teachers at the one register in order to create an inventory of any individual engaged in teaching. This was the first significant attempt to control quality. So the post-independence perspectives of the teacher as a resource and the role of the teacher as an important national resource in the socio-economic development of Kenya is well articulated in various reports and policy papers from the commissions, committees, working parties, and task forces. The Kenya Education Commission, popularly known as the Omide Report, was the first systematic inquiry into education in the independent Kenya, which perceived the teacher as a catalyst to fostering national unity, nationhood, and integration. This was especially important because the Kenyan society and its institutions had been structured along racial lines. The report of the National Committee on Education Objectives and Policies, popularly known as the Gashadi Report, and you'll know that this report addressed the problem of mismatch between the school curriculum and the skills needed in the labor market. It also emphasized the need for quality teachers to equip learners with self-reliance skills as opposed to emphasis towards white-collar jobs. It also focused on the need for the country to train and recruit more teachers to safeguard the quality of teaching. Both the Presidential Working Party, the Mackay Report, and the Presidential Working Party on Education and Manpower Training for the next decade and beyond, the Kamuge Report, underscored the need to intensify pre-service and in-service training of teachers. It is at the time that more than 1/3 of primary school teachers were untrained at that time. In 1999, we had the COECH report, which focused on professionalization of the teaching service by strengthening entry grades to teacher training programs and continuous professional training to improve pedagogical skills for teachers. It recommended that management of training for heads of institution be strengthened to enable them to be frontline quality control managers in their own schools. The report on the review and harmonization of the legal framework governing education, training, and research further recommended strengthening of the teaching profession through review of service regulations and codes of conduct. When TSC was established in 1967, it was mandated to carry out basic routine teacher management functions of recruitment, transfer, promotion, discipline, and remuneration. This is contained in the repealed Teacher Service Commission Act, Cap 212. The importance and centrality of the teaching service was underlined when the TSC was reenacted at Article 237 of the Constitution. The traditional and routine functions of the Commission provided for under Article 237(2), that is registration, recruitment, assignment, promotion, disciplinary control, and termination of teachers. Critically and most important, under Article 237(3), the Commission assigns TSC 3 other strategic functions that underscore the importance of the teacher as a national resource. The 3 additional functions largely speak to issues of quality and optimal utilization of the teaching resource. They are review of the standards of education and training of persons entering the teaching service, and this enables TSC to set entry grades to teacher education programs. Then there is the review the demand for and supply of teachers, and carry out projections. This requires that TSC carries out projections on staffing requirements in the different subsectors and subject areas. And the last one that was added in the Article 237 is advise the national government on matters relating to the teaching profession. The constitutional provisions on the teacher as an important national resource in the pursuit of quality teaching has been expounded in the Teacher Service Commission Act, and some of the key provisions made in respect to quality and optimal utilization are, for example, in Section 2E, to facilitate career progression and professional development for teachers. Section 2F, monitor the conduct and performance of teachers in the teaching service, and which entails evaluation and appraisals. Section 23, registration of teachers. This is for control on who joins the profession. Section 34, disciplinary control. This is to enforce professional conduct. Section 35, the Commission shall take all necessary steps to ensure that persons in the teaching service comply with teaching standards that are as prescribed in the Act. The teaching standards include career progression and professional development programs. The provisions in the Constitution and the TSC Act are further actualized in the Code of Regulations for Teachers. And for the first time since the initial Code of Regulations for Teachers developed in 1972, the 2015 Code has made detailed and comprehensive provisions on 1, development, review and maintenance of entry and performance standards, recruitment, appointment, assignment and deployment of teachers, and promotion of teachers. In addition, it has been established that most teachers nowadays adequately prepare their teaching through use of schemes of work, lesson plan notes, and maintain learners' progress registers, and this has greatly improved the delivery of lessons. Let's talk briefly then about the investment in teachers. As a result, investment in teachers, whoever is moving, I think let me just move on because of time. As a result of the deliberate efforts by the government to harness education in addressing socioeconomic development, the number of teachers in public schools has grown proportionately to the school enrollment. In the last 10 years, significant efforts have been made to increase the number of teachers to respond to the rise in the school enrollment. As a result, the number of teachers has been increased from 270,000 in 2013 to more than 317,000 in 2015. 19. And I think in the you can see the increase in the budgetary allocation. I won't go through that, and it goes to show the investment in the teacher component in this country and the importance that government puts on it. I think we can move on. Again there, you have the teacher's wage bill in billions between 2010 and 2019, and you can see how we have moved, and you can see the increase in the teacher wage bill. And again, this goes to show the investment the government has put on the teacher resource in this country to ensure that children have teachers in class and to ensure quality education. Now let's move to policy shift, supply-driven versus demand-driven. Over the years, there have been different approaches to staffing of schools in response to the increasing demand for teachers. In 1998, the government put a freeze on employment of teachers, citing need to rationalize teacher utilization through balancing. The freeze was lifted in 2001 with a major policy shift from supply-driven to demand-driven approach to staffing of schools. This policy entailed advertising for vacancies in the specific schools where vacancies existed in the case of post-primary institutions. Vacancies in the primary subsector were allocated to specific districts depending on the shortage. Districts now we have gone to counties. As a result, counties in difficult to reach regions and those with high attrition numbers were allocated more teachers. This is one of the major accomplishments in optimal utilization of teachers because no teacher is recruited to an institution or area where his or her services are not required. To date, this policy remains one of the most progressive measures to achieve equity in teacher distribution. The strategy of getting teachers where they are most needed ensures that learners across the country benefit from instruction by some of the best teachers, that all children have a chance and that all children have a chance to leave school having learned the basics. The demand-driven policy was strengthened by a requirement for newly recruited teachers to serve in their initial stations for at least 5 years before qualifying for transfer. This has greatly curbed high teacher turnover in difficult-to-staff regions. Besides creating stability in schools, the demand-driven approach of the 5-year service requirement before transfer has reduced inequality in teacher distribution. But as we move on, we have to change, and even as we come to the new CBC, we have to have a new approach to staffing, and this is the case for the new staffing norm. Inevitably, the improved transition from primary level to secondary subsector and the implementation of the competence-based curriculum calls for a review of our approach to staffing of schools. The new curriculum seeks to harness talents in individual learners. As a result, the proposed curriculum is remarkably broad in lower secondary. Due to the facilitative and inquiry methodology in the teaching and learning process and the broad-based curriculum to accommodate various abilities in learners, more teachers will be required. Equally important, teacher training institutions will be required to align their programs to the requirements of the curriculum. This is especially the case in lower secondary and senior school. In order to respond adequately to the anticipated new staffing needs, the Commission has initiated a study to develop new staffing norms for basic education institutions, secondary schools, teacher training colleges, and technical training institutions. The new staffing norms will guide the TSC in making decisions on distribution, deployment, assignment, recruitment of teachers. This will ultimately lead to optimal utilization of the teaching resource as we move forward. And so as I come to the conclusion, I wish to note that to effectively equip learners with the skills of the 21st century, the need to improve pedagogy through innovation and technology cannot be overemphasized. Moreover, we must also accept that it is inevitable to leverage on information communication communication technology, that is ICT, for effective delivery of our lessons and also mitigate teacher shortage. So thank you for listening to me. I was just setting the pace. I know other speakers and especially my chair will come and tell us more about this conference. Once more, I thank you for attending. I thank our sponsors once more. And let me now take this opportunity to humbly welcome my chairperson, Dr. Lydia Nzomo, to give the keynote address. Thank you very much.
I think the CEO will deserve a better clap. Can we clap for her, please? Thank you very much indeed. Our chief guest this morning, the Chief Administrative Secretary, Professor Sunda, the chairpersons of constitutional commissions present here and their representatives, my colleagues, the TSC commissioners, our commission secretary, representatives from the various educational agencies who are present,